Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about Habit 7 from the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens by Sean Covey. And Habit 7 is sharpen the saw. So you want to stay as sharp as possible, meaning like the saw, right? Hopefully you've read or watched the video that is the story of Sharpen the Saw. Basically, sharpening the saw means that you, the saw, are sharp and able to cut through all of your issues, problems, stuff that you have to do, etc., because you're sharp, as opposed to not being sharp, where you're dull and it takes you 3 times as long to do anything, and it's a pain in the butt because you struggle through everything that you do because you're not sharp. It's basically like trying to do open heart surgery with a spoon. It's just not sharp enough. It's not going to work. So you definitely want to do some of the things that the book suggests to sharpen your saw. And it says that you should have sharpness in 4 areas, okay? So I had you guys juggle this week, and I asked you to write body, brain, heart, and soul on each of the paper balls that you created, and then juggle those. And I asked you to try to keep all 4 of them in the air, which is pretty hard. I've practiced a lot, and I can do 3, but I can't do 4. I'm not there yet. I think if I just keep practicing, eventually I will get all 4. But to just expect yourself to walk up and start juggling, not knowing how to juggle, it's pretty crazy. I've been juggling a little bit here and there every semester when we practice this, so I may be a better juggler than somebody that's just picked it up for the first time. But even experienced jugglers have a struggle with 4 balls, at least for a while, until they realize how to get them all up. There's some tricks to it, okay? So if you watch the juggling video, you'll see there's some tricks. Like you can do columns and just do, basically 2 balls in each hand, and they never really flip over, do they? I mean, it looks like it does when they juggle, but it's a trick. So it's a mind trick or a visual trick. So same thing goes for, sharpening the saw in these 4 different areas. There are certain tricks that will help you to be able to keep sharp in the different areas. Let's go over those. Let's start with the body. So body is a dimension that is, eating right, getting enough rest, because I know a lot of you students do not sleep enough. A little side note here, just in case you suffer from depression or bipolar disorder, here's a little sleep trick I've learned along the way. If you're feeling depressed, you should actually sleep less hours per night, and you'll find that that helps to lift your depression. Of course, it's not going to work alone. You have to also be doing other stuff like going to therapy, maybe even medication, depending on your case, but it's something that can help you. Another thing is if you're manic, bipolar disorder, and you're going into mania, you definitely want to sleep more, and that will bring you down. So sometimes it takes medication to actually allow you to get that sleep so you can come down, but that's always good to know, right? So when it comes to the body, let's talk about physical fitness. A lot of people are really concerned about how they look instead of how strong they are or how they feel inside. And I think that's because our society kind of puts an emphasis on our body image or how we look. And what we see when we look at TV or ads or that kind of stuff, we see basically the same type of people that have the same look over and over again. So if you're female, you probably see either like the Victoria's Secret model look or the regular model look. And all the models kind of are ridiculously beautiful. And for guys, it's like you see these ripped guys with these 6-pack abs, maybe an 8-pack even sometimes, right? Big old arms, and they're all, maybe they're on steroids, but you don't know what they're doing to achieve that look. So a lot of guys are trying to get bigger and more cut, and women are trying to like slim down and look, more like a model. We try to do our makeup a certain way to look good. We do our hair a certain way to look good so we fit in and everything else. So all that stuff is part of our self-image or how we see ourselves. And so a lot of times when we're so focused on how we look, we're willing to do things to harm ourselves to get that look. So like steroids is a good example for guys. They might use something like that to help them build up, not realizing that that's actually very harmful for your body and can cause, permanent physical problems for the rest of your life. Okay, so I would recommend just thinking about maybe not watching so much TV. I mean, Netflix is okay because you don't see as many commercials, but on television you see a lot of commercials. I recommend not reading magazines, because they have a lot of ads and things in them, and all those ads are to make you feel insecure, so you buy products. It's like, oh, you've got acne? Oh, we got an acne cream. Oh, you feel like you have small boobs? Oh, we've got a boob pill you can take. They'll grow a lot bigger. Oh, you feel like, you're too small? We can make this grow too, right? So you definitely have a lot of insecurity that they're preying on. Okay, so what if you take the focus away from how you look and when you look in the mirror, it's not about what abs you have or don't have. What if it's about how you feel, how strong you're getting, how good you're taking care of your body, how you're building your muscle, how you're eating properly so you feel decent? Okay, focus on how you feel, not how you look, and you'll be way ahead of the game. Focus on staying away from advertisements that are going to make you feel bad because they're not reality. What is real is how you feel in this moment in the body that you have. And if you don't like how you feel right now, then make some changes so you do feel better, okay? One good way to feel better is to eat better. So one thing I recommend is just watch your sugar intake and watch your fast food intake. That's not everything to it. I'm just going real fast over it. But most nutritionists would agree if people would reduce their sugar intake, that they would feel a lot better. So that's one thing that you can easily do. And also fast food because it's full of preservatives and stuff. We've all seen those shows where they tell us like McDonald's hamburger. Oh, I found a McDonald's hamburger 12 years later and it was still perfectly preserved as if it had just been cooked. That's a lot of preservatives that you're eating. It's probably not too good for you, right? So another thing that you need to think about is, having safe sex. Okay, that's really important. A lot of college students are like, well, I don't need a condom, but you do. It's not just for pregnancy; it's also for sexually transmitted infections. So be careful with that kind of stuff. Don't do drugs. That's another hey, don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, and we know that. So if you're taking care of your body, that means you're not drinking too much or doing too many drugs, right? And that you're taking care of your physical body, you're getting enough sleep, and you're eating right. So that's pretty much everything. Okay, so let's move on to the next one, which is your mind. And so your brain. You want to take your brain and you want to feed it with lots of information. And it doesn't just have to be academic information. It can just be stuff that you want to learn, things that you are excited about. Go read about a subject that you haven't taken a class in, that you're just interested in. Maybe go on a trip because traveling is something that counts for your brain, for brain stimulation. Play some games. Figure out where your areas of weakness are and strengthen them with brain games. I know I'm like spatially, really struggling. I don't know. Over time, like I think I have more and more trouble parking my car in the garage without hitting something, or backing into a parking space, or parallel parking. So I tend to practice those things a lot more. But I also play games that help challenge my spatial abilities as well. Having good conversations with people can stimulate your brain. So essentially, just anything that stimulates your brain, you should do more of that. And remember that school shouldn't be something that gets in the way of your actual education or learning. So a lot of people take school just to get a good grade and move on. But wouldn't it be cooler if you actually learned that information so you could then use it later? All right, so then let's move on to the heart dimension. So in the heart dimension, this is about relationships. And what I really want you to think about is the relationship bank account and also the personal bank account. So you're basically keeping promises to yourself and other people. You're being loyal and trustworthy to those around you, and you're being honest with yourself as well. You're doing kind acts for other people when you have opportunity. And when you're wrong, you say, I'm sorry, I screwed up, right? Um, Basically, you just want to take care of not only yourself, but also other people as well. And I think like giving service or doing things to help others is one of the biggest things that you can do in this heart dimension that will really make things happy for you and for the people around you as well. The more you give, the more you'll feel good about you. It's kind of crazy like that. But also the more honest you are with yourself and others, you'll feel better about yourself in the situation as well. Don't forget that it's never too late to change a negative relationship. You can always make a good positive gesture, even if you haven't talked to that person in a really long time. One thing I also want to say is not every relationship is healthy, and sometimes you have to let relationships go because they're not healthy for you, in order to, stay strong and stay true to yourself. All right, so lastly, we have the, I lost my train of thought here. We got body, we got brain, we got heart. Okay, there we go, soul dimension. So the soul dimension is the dimension where, okay, a lot of people are like, okay, but I'm not religious, so I can't do the soul dimension. And yes, you can, because soul dimension is not a religious thing. Religion can be part of the soul dimension, but the soul dimension is about nurturing your soul. So one thing I like to do is go for like long walks in nature, because that kind of nurtures my soul. I like the beach. I'll go walk on the beach. And I like to write poetry and things like that. Being creative nurtures your soul as well. So, and if you're being creative and you create something for somebody else, that also is a soul dimension thing. So being kind to others and doing nice things for others is heart dimension and soul dimension. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone there. Prayer, meditation, any of those types of things would fit into this category of soul. You also should be watching what kind of things you're taking into your brain. So that's why I said maybe not take in so many advertisements, because those aren't good for your soul. But also things like, pornography, really violent stuff like, watching blood and gore, or video games that are, really heinously bloody and gory. I'm not telling you what to do or what to watch. I'm just saying, check your soul. Is your soul doing okay? And if it isn't, then take a look at what you're putting into your brain, because that affects you. It really does. So, these are the 4 areas that you need to nurture. You need to keep those all up in the air. And if you can't do that, you need to ask yourself, okay, which of these balls am I dropping? Okay, so for me, I usually do really good at the body dimension and at the brain dimension and at the heart dimension. But the one I'm always dropping is the soul dimension. And I think sometimes I really need to stop and go, okay, this part is getting real dull. I need to go do something that's going to nurture my soul. Because I think I just get so busy, wrapped up in like life and what's going on. I've got, kids, and I've got, work, and I've got my other work, and it's just busy. So sometimes it's tough to take a minute for myself to nurture my soul, but it's got to be done, because if you don't do that, then you're not going to be able to do anything, and you're not going to be effective anywhere in your life. So that's it. That's the body, the brain, the heart, and the soul. Those are those 4 dimensions. And I hope that you are able to keep them all up in the air at the same time with practice. All right? Have a good one. Good night.